This episode may be triggering for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, and welcome to the Allana Adams podcast, where we talk all things travel, wellness, and teenage girl. I'm your host, Moana, a full-time travel teen. I have a great episode for you this week, so let's get into it. Hello. I hope you enjoyed my awful singing. I can't sing, and I'm a little stuffy right now. So, enjoy that. And I also know that you got a big bad trigger warning at the beginning of this episode. I promise it's not too scary, but it definitely is going to be talking all about relationships with food and diet culture, and I know that can be a very triggering topic for a lot of people, so I'm just giving a warning to make sure you're in a good mental place to listen to this, because there is lots of really positive, and I'm going to keep it positive, great information, but also pay attention to your mood and how you're feeling. Please. I'm also going to give another little disclaimer before I start the bulk of the episode, but let's talk about where I am, grateful, currently loving, all the things. I'm yelling today, I feel like. Well, okay. I am in Charleston. Once again, I am recording the last episode and this one back to back because, like I said in the last one, I'm almost back to Georgia. We will be back to Georgia on Sunday. Today's Wednesday, and so I need to record in advance to make sure they are done and ready before it goes full chaos into the holidays, friends and family, and dentist appointments and hair appointments and all these things that I have to do. Whew! I need to slow down a little bit. I'm talking a little fast. I'm just very excited for today's topic, like I always say, but I'm very excited for this one because this one has been planned for months. I just wanted to wait till the new year because it's a really good New Year's topic. Okay, let's do grateful. I just talked about this a couple weeks ago, but I am still very grateful for it today. I am so grateful for the homeschool community. I have met tons of people online, on Instagram, and yes, for all of my family members, yes, I am very careful with who I talk to online. And I do pay very good attention, and I'm very careful about it, so don't worry about that. But I have met tons of incredible, sweet, nice people who are also homeschooled, and the homeschool community is very inviting. It's my first year. It's officially been almost a year since I started homeschooling. Well, it actually, starting on Friday, it will have been my first year spent homeschooling. And it was definitely a hard transition, but there's so many incredible people in the homeschool community that definitely make it worth it. So I'm very grateful for them. My currently loving, speaking of my speedy talking, is speeding through school. I was not supposed to finish the semester for another week and a half. But this week I was kind of looking at what coursework I had left to finish off the semester. And I ended up putting a ton of work in this week. I have 2 more days worth of really hard work. And I did school on Wednesday, which I haven't done all year, but I'm very excited to start back at having school on Wednesdays because it might come as a little bit of a shock to a lot of people, but taking Wednesdays off is not that exciting. It's actually very difficult sometimes because just because I'm off doesn't mean the whole world is off. And it also puts more work on my other days of the week. So I'm excited to have those Wednesdays back. But I did not take off today, and I did school, and I'm going to finish a week early and start my break a week early, so I'll have about 3 weeks off this December before I start my next semester on January 2nd. So that is very exciting. And I am also finishing off Algebra 2 and Chemistry courses, which I'm so excited to be done with because they are not easy courses and are very time consuming and hurt my brain. So that's what I'm currently loving, being done with school. Now, let's get into the bulk of the episode. Real quick disclaimer, I am not a nutritionist or a dietitian. I'm just a 15-year-old girl sharing my thoughts on the topic what I do and how I feel about it. I'm not here to say what you should and shouldn't do. It's up to you and your lifestyle. You know your body best. Health and wellness is also not about the way we look. It's more than that. It's about the way we feel and our productivity and our overall lifestyle, not just about the way we look. And this is also a very controversial topic, so don't come at me if you don't agree with my opinions. I don't really care what you have to say. No offense, but it's true. So let's start off with, what exactly are we talking about? We are talking about diet culture and how we can avoid it in this new year. What is diet culture, though? What does that even mean? I think most of us hear this term a lot, and if you haven't or you don't really know what I'm talking about, I'm going to give you a definition. I wrote this outline months ago, and I don't know where the definition came from. It is the persuasive belief that appearance and body shape are more important than physical, psychological, and general well-being. So, that being said, it basically is saying that your body and the way you look is more important than your mental health, than your emotional health, than your actual physical health. And it's very, very persuasive. It has been designed to convince you that there is something wrong with you and you need to change it. So some examples of this are labeling foods as good or bad, exercising to earn food, and things like that, where we're looking at food negatively or positively instead of neutral, and recognizing it as fuel for our bodies, and we're not eating intuitively, and we're not really in tune with our body and how it feels. We see diet culture all the time. Social media, TV, in our own houses with family members, and January is a diet culture hotspot. I talked about it in the last episode, but you're seeing so many ads right now that are telling you need to change all these different things, and these people have a product that's going to make it so much easier for you to change these things. And it is just a total hotspot. There's just diet culture ads everywhere. So let's make sure that we are paying attention to the content we're consuming. I am very picky about who I follow on Instagram. I usually max myself out on all my accounts at 200. I don't follow more than 200 people, and I don't do the formality of just because I know you, I'm going to follow you. If you have different political beliefs and I don't like them, I'm going to unfollow you because I'm feeling negatively when I'm seeing the content that you post, and I don't want to feel negatively when I'm on Instagram. I love Instagram. I haven't felt negatively on Instagram in a very long time since I've started doing this, and I love spending time seeing the content that other creators post and appreciate it, but I'm not going to do the formality of if I know you in person and you just expect me to follow you. Like, that's not how I roll. I also won't follow you if you refuse to post. Like, you're just taking up my space and you're taking up brain space. So I don't do the formalities of, I hope formalities is the right word, but I don't do it. I refuse to do it. And I also don't follow you when you post negative content. That makes me feel bad and negatively when I'm scrolling through Instagram, because I don't want to feel that way on Instagram. So if you post something that I don't like and I don't believe in and doesn't make me feel positively, I'm going to unfollow you. So generally what I do is about once a month, will go through the list of people I'm following, and anyone who hasn't posted or has posted something negatively, I will unfollow them. Or if I honestly just I'm not vibing with a certain person, especially different creators, I may nix them if I've been following them for a while and I'm just not feeling their content. It's not inspiring me, it's not motivating me, and it's just taking space up in my feed and in my brain. I just unfollow them. And I'm not scared to unfollow people. I think a lot of people are like, oh no, they're going to realize. No, they're not. They literally would have to think, oh, this person is the person who unfollowed me. Let me go search up their name in my following list. Oh yeah, they're not following me. Like, nobody's going to notice. And if they do, that's a little bit terrifying. So just pay attention to how you feel when you're consuming certain content. But why is diet culture so bad? Like, what is it about engaging in diet culture that makes it so awful? It has a lot of symptoms that I have seen firsthand. Anxiety, guilt, shame, and can also result in eating disorders. Diet culture is very often used to promote unhealthy and unsafe ways to lose weight. It is definitely mostly fixed on weight. And that can be very, very bad for a lot of people. I know plenty of people who have had a bad relationship with food in the past, and it has really hurt their health. And if you are struggling with that, then you need to pay attention to the way you're feeling and talk to the people around you, talk to your support group, and find a way to, and try to get yourself to heal. Try to do whatever you can to motivate yourself to heal, because it can go very south very quickly, and relationships with food are very difficult. I have always had a bad relationship with food for a very long time, and I know a lot of people who do have a bad relationship with food, and it's something very hard to change. It's so difficult because we are constantly under a microscope, and whether it's ourselves or other people around us are telling us that all these negative things, and that results in a lot of anxiety in a lot of people, and it can be very, very difficult to change that and heal from that. So do whatever you can to focus on those things, because it takes a long time as well. And just because it's hard doesn't mean it's not possible. A lot of people underestimate themselves all the time. So just do some research and see if there's something small that you can start doing. One thing that I have been doing that definitely has improved my relationship with food is, I talked about it before, I think in episode 6, maybe 8. Yes, episode 8 is I think which episode it was. It's a Bad Day, Not a Bad Life is the episode title. I talked about how one way you can turn bad days around is by dancing. And I dance all the time. Whether I'm just like walking and shaking my hips and my shoulders or like spinning around, I literally will dance all the time. And I have started dancing when I eat, to get myself excited to eat and feel positively when I'm eating. So, for example, I think I talked about this in that episode, but I was eating tacos with my dad, and we were standing up in the kitchen eating, and I was literally dancing while eating a taco because I was so excited to eat the taco. And then just today, I was eating pasta outside, and I was literally dancing while eating pasta. I mean, not like hardcore dancing, but like frolicking, I guess is the right word. And it definitely has made me feel better when I'm eating, because I feel so positively when I do that. I also like to eat outside. That definitely, getting that fresh air and that sunlight makes me feel more positively when I'm eating. Or listening to music, a podcast. I know that it's definitely not the most intuitive way to eat, is when you're eating in front of a screen or while listening to something, you're not focused on the food. But sometimes by not focusing on the food directly, it helps. And if you can build up that positive relationship, it'll be much easier to start eating more intuitively once you rebuild your relationship with food. So what can we put in diet culture's place? What can we use to replace it, to move it out of our lives and get ourselves feeling more positively and consume content that's better for us? Like I said, paying attention to who you're following is a huge, huge thing. Positive content is so important. I don't remember who it was. I think it was Katelynn Nolan. I think I've talked about her before. I love her podcast. Hers is by far my favorite. And she talked about a while ago when the new season of Euphoria came out, how she wasn't watching it because she tried to watch it and it's so heavy and so negative. I have not watched the show because of similar reasons. I do enjoy a lot of true crime content, but I also usually like true crime content that is BuzzFeed Unsolved because they add a funny touch to it. Not that crime is funny typically, but they do add personality to it when they talk about it, and it makes it more of positive content rather than negative content. My mom, she really loves to listen to true crime podcasts, and I've started not wanting to listen to those as much because it grows my anxiety and it makes me feel more negatively. So I'm trying to avoid that negative content and instead watch things that are similar. I can still enjoy true crime, but it makes me laugh. Also, the creators that I follow on Instagram, are they pushing diet culture? When they are talking about food, are they talking about the way you look or the way that you feel? If you want to find creators that post positive content, if you go to my Instagram, the podcast Instagram, not my personal one, and look at who the podcast is following, all the creators that I follow talk very positively about food and don't make it about the way you look. To name a few that I really love, Katelynn Nolan, Leigh, Trinity Tondeleir, Allana Blumberg, I'm awful at pronunciation, Kaylie Stewart, tons of great creators that talk very positively about food. So I highly suggest going to check those out if you need some replacements for people who promote more diet culture. We can also set health goals that are not related to the way we look or weight loss, and that are more based on strength, endurance, fitness, flexibility. Set those fitness goals to be related to things that don't affect the way you look as much. So instead of saying that you want to lose 25 pounds, you want to lift 25 more pounds. You want to be able to run 25 more minutes. You want to be able to run this much faster. So replace those, and you're still working on fitness, but you're not focused on that weight. And I definitely think that's what helps a lot of people. I am not very big on fitness right now. I'm trying to get more into it because I love to climb, but being on the road, fitness is difficult. And I know I'm making excuses right now a little bit, but to climb, which is my favorite thing ever, I need something to climb. And there's not many gyms in most of the places that we go because we avoid big cities. And now that we're in the east, there's not as many climbing routes. And I also don't really have anyone to climb with me. But once we get home, there is a climbing gym not even 15 minutes away from my mom's house. And I'm so excited to go. I have a horror story about that gym. Nothing bad about the gym necessarily itself, but I'm not going to share it right now, but definitely might share it in a later episode. My point is, I have not been focused on fitness, at all. But it's my understanding from what I've seen that when you set goals that are not based on weight, or when you do set goals that are based on weight, it's harder to stay consistent because your motivation is based on the way you look, and you're not seeing results as quickly. We also have to try and cut out negative self-talk. This one's hard. It's hard for me, and I'm sure it's hard for tons of other people. But by limiting this, it's definitely going to help. And by focusing on it, it's totally going to help your food relationships and body image relationship. There are a couple of different things that I try and do when it comes to my negative habits, like negative self-talk. Or I chew on my lip a lot. I was chewing on my lip a second ago. And what I try to do is when I recognize I'm doing those things, I take a sip of water instead. If I'm saying negative things about myself in my head, I'm having a moment of negative self-talk, and I realize, oh, hey, Moana, that's not nice. Don't say that to yourself. What's up? Let's not do that. And I take a sip of water to replace that bad habit. I realize I've been biting on my lip. Take a sip of water. So just try and find a replacement. Another thing is focusing on balanced eating instead of being strict. I love the 80-20 rule. I'm still trying to find my balance. Balance is very difficult. But by focusing on balance, it's definitely going to help us avoid that diet culture. because creators who promote balance are not promoting diet culture at all. Like, I've never seen a creator who talks about balance also promote diet culture. So if we focus on that, definitely going to cut away that diet culture. We are focused on eating a little bit more, which kind of counteracts what I said before about dancing while you're eating, but it is allowing us to enjoy the foods that make us feel good in our cells, in our souls, in our body, in our taste buds. So balanced eating, definitely a great way to replace diet culture. Another thing is pay attention to the people around you. What is their relationship with food like? What do they say about food? But pay attention to that. Are there people around you who are making you feel negatively about the things you're eating? And how is that affecting you and your relationship with food? It's important to focus on those things and ensure that there are not people around you putting you down and making you feel bad about what you're eating and guilty about what you're eating all the time. Because there's no way that that'll help you build a strong relationship with food at all. So just spend time with people who do talk positively about food and avoid diet culture and post positive content and help you build a strong relationship with food. So make sure you're spending time with people who talk positively about food. Another thing, I said this a little bit earlier, but pay attention to your mood when you're watching things. Does it make you feel positive or negative? Does it build a good relationship or a bad relationship with food? Just try to focus on that a little bit more. And then educate yourself. Spend time learning about how the human body really works. And don't rely on one source. Pay attention to multiple different sources. And focus on those things. I think I've talked about this before, but I love the YouTube channel Pick Up Limes. Sadia is the girl who makes those videos, and she is awesome. She is a nutritionist, and she does a great job talking about food positively and explaining things in simple but also very educational terms, and she really educates on different things. She also provides great recipes, and I just love that channel overall. They do a great job, but don't just trust the one source. Pay attention to other sources and fact check things with yourself. Just be very careful where you get your information because you don't want to fall back into that diet culture pit. Now, to sum everything up a little bit, diet culture affects us very negatively, and we should pay attention to the content we are consuming. And there are tons of different ways that we can replace diet culture and build a stronger relationship with food. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to give this podcast a rate and review, as well as follow me on all my socials linked in the show notes. Don't forget to drink some water, and I'll talk to you later.